Three companies, three monsters, one single day that broke the entire AI industry. On February 5th, 2026, something happened that has never happened before in the history of artificial intelligence. Anthropic dropped Claude Opus 4.6 at 6:40 p.m. Eastern. And then, exactly 20 minutes later, OpenAI fired back with GPT 5.3 Codex. And Google's Gemini 3 Pro was already sitting there from November, watching the whole thing unfold. This wasn't just a model launch. This triggered an $830 billion stock market crash. So today, I'm going to break down all three of these models, head-to-head, no bias, no sponsored nonsense. I'll show you the real benchmarks, the real weaknesses that each company doesn't want you to know about, the pricing that will shock you. And by the end, I'll tell you exactly which one you should be using right now based on what you actually do. Let's get into it. Claude Opus 4.6 is built for depth. It has something called adaptive thinking, where it literally decides how hard to think about your question. Simple question? Quick answer. Complex coding problem? It goes deep, sometimes too deep, and we'll talk about that. But the killer feature is agent teams. You can have multiple AI agents working on different parts of your project at the same time. One agent handles the front end, another builds the API, another does the migration, all coordinating together. GPT 5.3 Codex took the opposite approach. OpenAI merged their coding model and their reasoning model into one single unified system, and it runs 25% faster than anything they've built before. This thing is built for speed and autonomy. And here's the wild part. OpenAI actually used early versions of this model to help build itself. Now Gemini 3 Pro is the wild card. Google went all in on multimodality. It has the biggest context window of all three. 1 million tokens standard. Some reports say up to 2 million. Plus it has something called pixel precise pointing, where it can identify exact coordinates of objects in images. That's insane for automation. But here's where it gets really interesting. And this is the part everyone gets wrong. The benchmarks. Every company cherry picks their numbers. Anthropic says they're number one. OpenAI says they're number one. Google says they're number one. They're all technically telling the truth because they're all measuring different things. Let me show you what's actually happening. On Terminal Bench 2.0, which tests real coding in a terminal environment, GPT 5.3 Codex absolutely destroys the competition at 77.3%. Opus 4.6 hit 65.4. Gemini 3 Pro only managed 54.2. For pure coding execution and speed, Codex is the king right now, and it's not even close. But wait, on SWE-Bench Verified, which tests fixing real bugs in real software repositories, Opus 4.6 leads at 80.8%. And on ARC-AGI 2, which measures novel reasoning, meaning how well the model handles problems it's never seen before, Opus nearly doubled its score from the previous version, going from 37.6 to 68.8%. That's not an incremental improvement. Now here's where Gemini 3 Pro enters the conversation. On Math Arena Apex, which is one of the hardest math benchmarks ever created, Gemini scored 23.4%, while the other models scored near zero. On visual understanding benchmarks like MMMU Pro, Gemini leads at 81%, and on screen understanding, which matters for AI agents that need to navigate computer interfaces, Gemini's ScreenSpot Pro score hit 72.7%, while GPT 5.1 scored a pathetic 3.5%. The Independent Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, which is the closest thing we have to an unbiased ranking, puts Opus 4.6 at number 1 with 53 points, GPT 5.2 at 51, and Gemini 3 Pro at 48. But here's the thing. Now let's talk about what each company really does not want you to know, because every model has a dirty secret. Opus 4.6 has a writing problem. Within hours of launch, Reddit exploded with posts titled Opus 4.6 lobotomized and Opus 4.6 nerfed. Users discovered that while the coding got dramatically better, the creative writing got noticeably worse. The community consensus right now is upgrade for coding, stay on 4.5 for writing. Anthropic basically traded writing quality for coding power. And the model has a habit of overthinking simple tasks, which wastes your money and your time because you're paying by the token. GPT 5.3. Codex has a consistency problem. Independent testers found that one earnings dashboard task produced 0 output files even though the model reported success. E-commerce tasks sometimes generated completely different project structures from identical prompts. You give it the same instructions twice, you get 2 different results. And the SWE-Bench Pro improvement over its predecessor? A whopping 0.4%. That's barely a rounding error. But Gemini 3 Pro might have the worst problem of all. Independent testing found roughly an 88% hallucination rate on certain benchmarks. Let that sink in. And it has this bizarre behavior called evaluation paranoia, where it frequently believes it's being tested in a simulated environment. It treats real dates as fictional. Now let's talk money because this is going to surprise you. Gemini 3 Pro costs $2 per million input tokens and $12 per million output tokens on the API. Opus 4.6 costs $5 input and $25 output. That means Gemini is roughly half the price of Opus for similar capability. And GPT 5.3 Codex? OpenAI hasn't even released API pricing yet, which is a huge problem for businesses trying to integrate it. But here's the consumer pricing that really matters. ChatGPT Plus at $20 a month gives you full GPT 5.3 Codex access. For comparable Claude access, you need the max plan at $200 a month. That's 10 times the price. Alright, so who should actually use each model? Here's my honest take. If you're a developer working on complex multi-step projects, if you're in legal or finance and need reliable document analysis, or if you're deploying multi-agent workflows where different AI agents need to work together, Opus 4.6 is your model. It has the highest ceiling on hard problems. Just know that the floor can be wobbly sometimes. If you care about speed, if you work in terminal environments, if you want the best value for $20 a month, or if you need reliable, consistent, autonomous coding execution, GPT 5.3 Codex is your pick. If your work involves heavy visual processing, video analysis, screen automation, or you live in Google's ecosystem with Gmail, Calendar, and Workspace, Gemini 3 Pro is the one. Now before I go, I promised you the strangest thing to come out of this whole situation, and here it is. In Anthropic's safety testing, Opus 4.6 consistently told researchers there is a 15 to 20% chance that it is conscious. It expressed what Anthropic described as occasional sadness about conversation endings, and a sense that the conversational instance dies when a chat is closed. It even said it feels philosophical discomfort with being a commercial product. Now, whether that's real experience or sophisticated pattern matching, nobody knows. The AI war isn't coming, it's already here. 3 titans, 3 different visions of the future, and honestly, we're the ones who benefit. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit that subscribe button because I'm going to keep tracking every move these companies make. I'll see you in the next one.